What is up, everybody? In today's insane video, I'm going to be doing an unboxing and review. Well, not really an unboxing, more of a review of this Tecsun PL-680 World Band receiver, airband, you get the idea. Now, this isn't really a review video. This is more of a video instruction manual. The reason is this is a very high-end radio receiver. But since it's very high-end and has very high-performance characteristics, using it can be a bit different than using a normal shortwave receiver. So, let's get into this radio, and I'll show you how to use it and how it works. So, let's start off with opening the box. Okay, here's what we have in the box. Now, I already opened this and have used this radio quite a bit, so I can tell you guys how to use it. So, while everything is with the radio, I have opened it, so that's why everything is opened and not still in its bag or whatever. So in the box, there's the radio, and it comes with this, this faux leather, carrying pouch, which is useful if you're traveling, but unlike a lot of leather pouches that come with older radios, you can't actually use the radio while it's in this. You have to take it out to use it, so it's just a storage thing. The other things we get in a box is a random wire antenna, which is great, because I have a video on my channel on how to make a random wire antenna for a normal radio, but since this already has it, you don't really need to do that. Also, it also comes with a wall wart. The cool thing about this wall wart is it also comes with nickel metal hydride rechargeable AA batteries. The cool thing about that is the radio acts as the battery charger. So you can plug in the radio to this wall wart and it will charge the batteries. Now, you can also use this radio with non-rechargeable alkaline batteries. So if the rechargeable batteries that this radio comes with gets worn out over time, you can just use regular AA's. But what you're probably going to end up doing is just using the rechargeable batteries with the included wall wart, which is a really cool feature. And we also get some earbuds that no one is going to use because everybody has headphones. Anyway, here is the radio, so let's get it out of its box. Here is the radio. But I'm going to go ahead and connect the antenna to it real quick so I can show you how to tune on shortwave with this thing. Here I have the radio connected to the external shortwave radio antenna that comes with the radio, which is a cool feature. Now, if you don't feel like stringing this out, you can use the included dipole. Although, for shortwave, this dipole is kind of underpowered, especially if you're listening to single sideband or something. So if you're on shortwave, you really want to use the wire that's included with the radio. Although, if you're on FM or on airband or something, you can use the included dipole. And if you're using this radio on AM or long wave band, you don't need an external antenna because on AM and long wave it uses an internal ferrite rod antenna. So, with all of that out of the way, let's turn it on. Okay, here's the radio switched on.
That's what I call checking in on the elderly, folks.
Right now I'm on some single sideband stuff. I'll get into that later in the video. But for right now, let's go over some of the more boring features of this radio before I go into the interesting stuff like single sideband. So, before we start with the complicated features like single sideband, let's start with a more basic feature, AM. In order to go to the AM radio, what you need to do is just hit the AM button, and now you're on AM radio. This radio also has a long wave. Okay. All you need to do to get to the AM radio is just hit AM. Also, as I said earlier, AM radio on this radio uses an internal ferrite bar antenna, which means you do not need to pull out the dipole or connect the external shortwave antenna. So, okay, before we get further along in the video, I just wanted to quickly clarify something. In this video, I refer to the frequency as cycles, like kilocycles, megacycles, you get the idea. But a lot of y'all might know that as hertz. Now, they both mean the same thing and are used interchangeably. I just wanted to point out that in this video I say cycles, and some of y'all think of frequency as hertz. They mean the same thing and are used interchangeably. I just wanted to clear that up so no one gets confused on what I'm talking about. Now, while we're here, let me show you the steps. This really applies to all of the bands on this radio, but this radio has tuning steps. So right now it's on slow mode. So when you turn it, it goes up by 1 kilocycles at a time. But if you hit this step button right here and hold it down, we're on slow. Now we're on fast. So, instead, it will go up 10 each time. Well, actually, on shortwave, it will go up 5 each time, and on long wave, it will go up by a different number, because the tuning steps are different on different bands, but that's what the fast and slow does. So now we can tune through the AM band very easily. So yeah, that's just AM radio. Now, there's something else this radio has that's similar to AM. It's called long wave. Now, on the front of the radio, it says long wave on off to hold this button. But that's actually wrong. The way you get to long wave is just by double pressing the AM button. So you press it once for AM, press it again for long wave. Now, I would like to point out that there's really nothing on long wave. Now, I would like to point out there really is nothing on long wave in America. In other countries like Europe and other places, they still use long wave today. But in America, there's nothing on long wave. Unless you manage to get a signal that's bounced from across the world, that whatever. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that double-clicking this button is how you switch between AM and long wave, because I had a hard time figuring that out initially. So, we've gone through the tuning steps, we've gone through AM long wave, let's go through FM. FM is just FM. It's like your normal FM. Now, I'm not gonna play anything from FM because everything on FM is a music station and music is copyrighted out the wazoo. So I am not gonna play anything on FM, but it is a very strong FM receiver. Now, let's go to shortwave. You get to shortwave by pressing any one of these buttons. You don't press both of them at the same time, you just press one of them. And now you're on shortwave. Now, before we get into shortwave, let me show you the RF gain. Because this radio has adjustable front end gain. So this switch, you can adjust the gain from DX to normal to local. Basically what this does is this radio is very high performance. But that means if there's a station very close to you, you want to adjust this so it doesn't clip the radio. But if you're on shortwave, AM, or long wave, you probably want to leave it in DX or normal most of the time, unless there's a station that's like right in your face that you're trying to listen to. Now we got that out of the way. Let me briefly touch on how this radio works, because it affects the controls. This radio is really cool because it's a multiple layer super heterodyne radio receiver, which means instead of you using a DSP control chip like a lot of modern radios, this will actually has a super heterodyne radio receiver, and it actually has multiple of them layered on top of each other, which means the frequency you have on the radio is the frequency you're listening to. There isn't going to be any weird harmonics or anything. This radio is so high performance, it is punch in as your frequency, or what you tune in is the frequency you're on. But since it's a super heterodyne radio receiver instead of a DSP controlled radio receiver, it has a few weird quirks. One of them, the gain control switch I showed you earlier for the front end gain. Now, the other quirk is this radio has single sideband, but since this radio is a super heterodyne receiver, this radio actually has a BFO, which stands for beat frequency oscillator. Okay, with all that technical stuff out of the way, let's just get to showing y'all how to use this radio on regular shortwave. Now I'm gonna go find a station to demonstrate this. I really don't know of any regular shortwave stations off the top of my head, so I'm just gonna use the time signal. Time signal's at a bunch of different frequencies, so let's just see which one I can receive. Okay, here we go. Not sure if you can hear it, but that's the time signal at 5 megacycles. Now there's other time signals at I think like 3.5 or like 2.5, and then there's 10, maybe 15. I know there's one at like 20 and 25. Anyway, I know where the time signals are, so that's what I use to demonstrate amplitude modulation on shortwave. This is what every broadcast station on shortwave uses. It's just that it was easy to demonstrate on the time signal. As you can hear, it works. Now, right here, you see this little bandwidth thing in the bottom of the screen with this little thingy here to show you the bandwidth. The way you change that is with this button. It can be big or small. If you're doing AM, like a normal broadcast station, it's recommended to have that big. There might be a situation where you have a distant station and you narrow that down a bit if the signal's really weak and you're getting a lot of interference or noise. Pretty much for a normal shortwave station, you'll just have that at the wide mode. Now that I showed you receiving on AM station, let's see if I can find something on single sideband. This antenna is not very ideal, and it's kind of late, so I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to be able to demonstrate this, but let me see if I can find something on single sideband so I can show y'all how to do that. Okay, I found something. And as you can hear by the weird out-of-tone thing on AM, this is a single sideband signal. So, let's set the step to slow so we can be more accurate. Then and we turn on USB with the SSB button. And if that doesn't work, we try SSB and we got it. And as you can hear, it's working on single sideband. Now, that station is incredibly weak, so it's not the best example of this, but it's late. There isn't much on the air. But yeah, so that's how you use single sideband. You gotta pick either SSB or, when you hit the SSB button, it'll be USB or LSB. That's different sides because it's single sideband, so there are two sides. And then after you pick which one, you usually have to set it to the slow mode and slowly tune around to find it, because AM covers like 10 kilocycles or 5 kilocycles of space, and LSB or USB is only like 2.5 kilocycles on one side, so you gotta find it. Also, if you're using USB on an LSB thing, you'll hear it, but it won't work. So you gotta try USB and LSB, tune around and until you get it to work. Now, once you get it on, it will sound close. But then you gotta adjust the BFO knob in order to dial it in until the station sounds how it's supposed to. Yeah, I know that's kind of complicated. Also, just letting you know, there's a detent in this knob on this radio, and the BFO is always in the detent. So you always leave it in the detent when you're tuning around to try and find the frequency of the station, and then you turn this around to fine tune it so it doesn't sound like this. Okay. That's basically it for the radio tuning. Now, there's one other thing I would like to point out. This radio has airband. And the thing with airband on this radio is the sensitivity is bad. I don't know why, but the sensitivity on everything else on this radio is just amazing. Like, it's got super heterodyne, it's like this, it's not DSP, so tuning is constant and really smooth. FM is amazing too, but I couldn't really demonstrate that because everything on FM is copyrighted. But on airband, it's not very sensitive. Now, that isn't really a big issue, because if you like live next to a big airport and just trying to hear the local chatter, it's totally adequate. But if you're like me and live quite a distance from airport and trying to receive planes that are high in the sky, it just won't work. It's not very sensitive compared to other airband receivers, but it really doesn't matter because it still works if you're close to an airport. And this radio is much more about the shortwave and AM, FM, longwave receivers than it is about the airband. The airband is kind of an afterthought with this receiver. It's there so you have it. It's not there as the main feature. So yeah, that's basically the end of the video. If you like this video and want to subscribe, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. But if you don't feel like subscribing yet, please feel free to check out another one of my videos that our AI overlords say you will like. And without another way, bye.